Damichael, thanks for joining us. Ja Morant sounds like he's a victim here, that he doesn't care about the criticism, feels like maybe he's being targeted here. Help us understand the local feel of Ja Morant and what he's done the last two games.
Yeah, Dan, the number one thing when kind of peeling the curtain back here is this isn't anything new, actually. This is a celebration that Ja Morant and several of his teammates have done over the course of the season. So when you talk about Ja Morant feels, Ja Morant being the victim here, I think that's the feeling internally, especially specifically, with him. This is a celebration. I've seen him. I mean, I could at least go back to the beginning of the year, him doing this celebration, and he does it pretty much after every made three-pointer. Now, Ja isn't Steph Curry. He's not making 4 or 5 three-pointers a game, but he's made a decent amount of three-pointers, and we've seen this celebration time and time again. I think what stood out in this particular situation, going back to that Golden State game, is number one, it's Grizzlies Golden State. Over the last 2-3 years, that game has always had increased significance. And then number two, it happened and it caused a technical foul. So in the past, we see it. And in this game, the recent game that was on, national TV against the Miami Heat, it's harmless. It's coming after, made 3-point baskets, and he's doing it towards the Grizzlies bench. He's doing it towards the opposing bench. He's doing it towards the players. He's just doing it in a general direction. And in the case with the Golden State game, it was him and Buddy Hield, gesturing towards one another, which led to the official stepping in and calling the technical foul. So I think that's kind of what's brought this increased attention onto it. But locally, I think that's the main point here is this is something that he's been doing for months.
What do you think the commissioner does this time around?
I don't think the commissioner does anything until it's something that leads to a greater type of, I guess, altercation or something, if that makes sense. So in this case, let's say if Ja Morant gestures towards an opposing bench and a guy gets up and walks in his direction, then I feel like that's when they'll have to step in. But if you go around the league, this is not just a celebration Ja Morant's doing. This isn't just a celebration that the Grizzlies players are doing. It's one that's league wide, sort of, in a way. And even LeBron James, he did kind of a little bit of a different version of it yesterday against the Warriors, but he made a shot in the corner three-pointer that he made, and he turns towards the crowd and does kind of a similar celebration. But again, you have to understand, we understand why with Ja Morant there is increased intention on when he does it. That has happened because of how the last 2 years have kind of played out here. But in this case, I don't think the commissioner will really step in and do anything of significance unless it leads to something greater. Because what we're seeing is there's a made three, he does the celebration, and they go back to playing defense.
Yeah, but see, what I worry about, Damichael, is
Mhm.
if I'm the commissioner, I want to be proactive. I don't want to be reactive. I don't want to
Yeah,
go, hey, until
yeah,
there's an altercation. We've already seen Ja and be very immature with an actual gun a couple of times.
mhm.
And he's still doing that. As the commissioner, it's a bad look for the league and a bad look for him. And now it feels like he's embarrassed the commissioner publicly by, you're going to do it again. And he already had if the league doesn't have a problem with it, then why did the commissioner talk to Ja Morant?
I think in this case it was more so because inquiring minds wanted to look into the situation. That's what it was in this case. Because if the league had seen an issue with the celebration, that's my point. They would have reached out in January. They would have reached out in February. They would have reached out in previous national televised games where he's made three-pointers and did the same celebration. There would have already been an instance where the league said, Ja, read the room. Yeah, some other guys may be doing this celebration, but you specifically, you probably shouldn't be doing this. But that hasn't been the case. I think in this situation, going back to this Golden State game a couple days ago, I think what happened was when people saw it, when it led to a technical foul and all of that, inquiring minds reached out to the league. People like reporters reached out to the league. Hey, is there anything of significance going to be done about this situation? The league said we'll look into it. The league looked into it, and I think it was a situation where the league pretty much did their due diligence. I don't think the warning, so to speak, was a big hey, don't you do this again, or we're going to do something. I think it was more of a read the room type of situation, if that makes sense. So I do think with the commissioner, he needs to be proactive uh, with this and with some other situations that have been similar with players around the league. But at the same time, he's been sort of reactive all throughout this time with Ja, going back to March of 2023, and I think that's kind of the case here.
Most teams don't fire their coach when they're heading into the postseason. So why did the
Yeah.
Grizzlies fire their head coach?
He wasn't connecting with the players the same way anymore, and uh, Taylor Jenkins has been here 6 years, so his voice, uh, players, kind of connected with Taylor Jenkins on a whole nother level. The big thing we talked about at the beginning of the year with Taylor Jenkins, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bain, the leaders of the team, was he talked about the need to be, I guess, brutally honest, with those guys, critiquing the players, telling Ja Morant, look, we need you to be better defensively. Desmond Bain, we need you to be better defensively. And they had good, honest conversations, and those seemed to be received well early on in the season. The Grizzlies were doing well, but what we saw, Dan, take place was when the Grizzlies' schedule got tougher. You turn the calendar to January, you go to February. When the schedule got tougher, the Grizzlies started to struggle. And it was like they're not beating the top tier teams, to the point when Taylor Jenkins was fired, the Grizzlies were 11-20 against teams with a record above 500. So if you look at the record, in a shell, and you say, man, that's a good team that just, top five seed in the West, 6 seasons with the team. But the bigger picture is pretty simple, actually, to me. The Grizzlies want to win. Their core is in place. They believe in Ja Morant, Desmond Bain, and Jaren Jackson Jr. They believe that trio is enough to take them to championship contention. So they have their core in place. The next thing you have to realize is the financial situation. Ja's on his second contract, pretty much a max deal. Desmond Bain is just a few $1 million below a max deal. Jaren Jackson Jr. Is potentially in line to receive a significantly bigger deal this summer if he makes all NBA. So when you factor in all of that, the financial dollars are about to get tight, and they need to win really soon. So I think that's a part of it. It's the urgency of the situation, and then you factor in the urgency, it's the reality that, hey, we're not beating top teams. We're 11-20 against the best teams, especially since the All-Star break. You haven't beaten a top team in the league. And they lost 4 out of 5, before he was fired. So when you factor in all those things, the writing was kind of on the wall that, hey, this season isn't going anywhere. It's time to make a change.
Damichael, thank you. I'm sure you got a busy day. We appreciate your time.